In today's video, I want to talk about masking versus authenticity, what it costs and what it feels like. So let's start with the invisible effort. Today we're going to talk about something that many autistic adults live with every day, but that most people around them never see. Masking. Masking is the effort to appear neurotypical. It's the constant adjustment of behavior, tone, facial expression, eye contact, conversational style, and emotional response so that you don't stand out. And for many autistic adults, masking begins in childhood. And by adulthood, it can become almost automatic. But what people don't realize is that masking comes with a cost, a neurological cost and an emotional cost, and sometimes an identity cost. So today we're going to talk about what masking actually is, what it feels like internally, why it develops, and how autistic adults and the people who love them can move toward a healthier balance between social adaptation and authenticity. So let's talk about what masking actually is. Masking is often misunderstood. People think it simply means trying harder socially, but masking is much deeper than that. Masking involves things like forcing eye contact when it feels unnatural, memorizing social scripts, monitoring facial expressions constantly, suppressing natural stimming behaviors, imitating tone and body language, rehearsing conversations in advance, and hiding confusion in social situations. Imagine running a translation program in your brain every time you talk to someone. That's what masking can feel like. Instead of interacting naturally, you're constantly calculating. Let's see, what expression should I make right now? Or did that sound normal? Or did I take too long about that topic? Or did this come out right? Or did I respond emotionally the right way? It's a form of social performance. And for most autistic adults, it becomes second nature, but it also consumes enormous mental energy. Now let's look at why masking develops. Masking rarely develops because someone wants to hide who they are. No. It usually develops because they had to. Autistic children receive very early feedback that their natural behavior is wrong. They might have heard things like, "Look at me when I talk to you," or "Stop fidgeting," or "Don't talk about that so much." "Why are you being awkward?" And every time, that little child's brain learns something very powerful. Authenticity leads to rejection. Adaptation leads to safety. So the child begins modifying his behavior. And the more socially successful those modifications become, the more the little child's brain reinforces them. And by adulthood, masking can become so ingrained that many autistic adults don't even realize how much they're doing it. All they know is they feel exhausted after social interaction, and they're not always sure why. Let's talk about what masking feels like internally. We're going to talk about the inside experience. Many autistic adults describe masking as acting in a play that never ends, or running software in the background all day. It can feel like constantly monitoring yourself, constantly adjusting, constantly trying to match the environment. For example, as an autistic adult at work, you might carefully control your tone, posture, and conversational style. At social events, you might track everyone's reactions and make sure you're responding appropriately. In relationships, you might try to express emotions in a way that feel unnatural but socially acceptable. All of this requires a lot of cognitive and emotional effort, and that effort accumulates over time, which is why many autistic adults experience something called autistic burnout, which includes extreme fatigue, reduced tolerance for social interaction, increased sensory sensitivity, emotional exhaustion, and difficulty performing tasks that were once manageable. And a lot of NT spouses view burnout as laziness. Nope, it's a neurological depletion. Now let's talk about the identity cost of masking. Masking doesn't only affect energy, it can affect identity. Most autistic adults reach a point where they ask themselves, who am I when I'm not masking? So for the ASD individuals out there, if you've spent years adapting your behavior to match expectations in the neurotypical world, it can become difficult to separate your authentic self from the version of yourself you present to the world. And this creates feelings of confusion about identity, imposter syndrome, chronic anxiety about being found out, and difficulty relaxing around others. Some autistic adults describe a profound sense of relief when they finally find environments where they don't have to mask constantly, where they can finally speak directly, stem naturally, pause to process, and engage deeply in their interests. That experience of authenticity can feel like breathing after holding your breath for years. Now let's talk about masking inside relationships. Masking also shows up in neurodiverse marriages. An autistic partner may mask early in the relationship to meet perceived expectations. They might push themselves socially. They might express emotions in scripted ways. They often participate in activities that are draining. And over time, sustaining that level of masking becomes very, very difficult. And when it drops, the neurotypical partner may feel confused. They may think, well, you've changed. But often what's happening is this. The mask isn't simply becoming unsustainable. It can lead to misunderstandings. The neurotypical partner may interpret reduced masking as withdrawal, and the autistic partner may feel pressure to perform again. The real solution isn't forcing the mask back on, it's building understanding and acceptance. Now, let's talk about moving towards healthy authenticity. Authenticity does not mean abandoning all social adaptation. We all adapt to different environments, but the goal is balance. So here are some coaching strategies that can help. First, identify where masking is most exhausting. Workplace, social gatherings, extended family. Then look for spaces where masking can be reduced safely. Second, practice communicating needs clearly. For example, I need quiet time after social events, or eye contact is difficult for me when I'm trying to process, or direct communication works best for me. Third, build relationships where authenticity is respected. Healthy relationships allow room for neurological differences. They don't require constant performance. Now let's talk about authenticity and connection. Masking helped many autistic adults survive environments that didn't understand them, so it deserves respect. But long-term well-being requires something more. It requires spaces where authenticity is possible, where you can be understood without constant translation, where your nervous system can relax. Authenticity isn't about rejecting the world, it's about finding ways to exist in it without losing yourself. Now, if this conversation resonated with you, I'd love to hear your experience in the comments. And if you want more insights into neurodiverse relationships, autism, the emotional connection, subscribe and stay connected. I'll see you in the next video. Would you like to schedule a paid private coaching session? This will be in the form of a face-to-face Zoom call. Underneath any of my videos, you'll see this Calendly link. If you click on that link, it'll open up my calendar. You can pick the available days and times that works for your schedule. You'll get a follow-up email immediately after purchasing a session that will have the Zoom link that coincides with the day and time that you picked. I will get an email too that you scheduled a session, and I will be available on that exact day and time, and we will talk. I look forward to working with you.